All right. Shalom, shalom. I'd like to start off by saying Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai, Kol Haloyim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and Aqua that's listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing, that the lesson is edifying. It's the brother Shawab Amwan back at you with another lesson. And going into the title, A Troubled Agriculture, State of Emergency. All right. And I'm going to play this article from Newsbreak, and it says, it's a video. It says, state of emergency declared in New Jersey over troubled agriculture. All right, so let's see what they got to say. Salakia.
First step. This is an action that we needed to get the ball rolling. Dana Davis of Stony Hill Farms in Morris County says she and her husband are still accounting for the damage done to their crops, especially their apples, which were severely damaged when temperatures that peaked into the 90s suddenly plummeted into the 20s last month. It's a little early to tell how much damage there is just because, we're so hopeful something will come of it. The state says some farmers reported a 90% loss, which could end their season before it even begins. This week, Governor Mikey Sherrill penning a letter to USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins requesting disaster relief.
I'm hearing some reports of $200 million, but nothing has been confirmed. That'll be able to be allocated to our farmers in low interest loans to help them bridge the gaps.
Democratic Assemblywoman Andrea Katz is the chair of the Assembly Ag Committee.
Our farmers are going through a really hard time right now. Fuel prices are up. We all see that. The diesel costs that farmers use to run their tractors, their irrigation systems, even though we're seeing some rain right now, we're still in a drought.
She says it's now in the hands of the federal government when they can receive the cash. Until then, it's a waiting game for the Davises.
It sounds like you're not out of the woods yet, and you're not going to be out of the woods for quite some time.
No, this declaration is really, like I said, a first step to make everyone aware of what's going on. You're going to see every state on the East Coast giving this declaration, I would assume. The state says the ag industry produces more than $1.5 billion every year in wholesale value and provides more than 25,000 jobs. Reporting in the newsroom, Jim Vassell, Pix 11 News.
Hi! What is...
All right. So as you can see, all right, I was telling you that there's a group coming to this land. It's not bullshit. all right, is all prophecy through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, let's grab this. This is 2nd Ezra 15, and this is 12. Egypt shall mourn. All right, and this Egypt that's being spoken of in 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, speaking of America, Babylon the Great. All right, it says Egypt shall mourn. As a matter of fact, let's take it up a little bit, right, to 5. It says, behold, saith the Lord Yahweh Shai, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. All right, and famine, all right, is right now happening through the spirit of prophecy. All right, it's also being orchestrated by your actual elites at the same time. All right, but it's really, you know, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai bringing in prophecy to play out before our eyes, man. All right, these are like the last final warnings to our people, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, to get right with the Heavenly Father, or you're gonna suffer these things, man. You're gonna suffer, you know, you being taken out by the sword, or you can suffer by you being, you know, dying in actual famine, you see, or, you know, going through both of those things. All right, and then being preserved for the actual thermonuclear missiles, the lake of fire, all right, that it speaks of in the scriptures. All right, but famine is definitely coming to this place, whether people believe it, whether people like it or not. All right, and that's a perfect example of prophecy being spoken in front of your face, man, because our people have to hear it from the fucking news to believe it. Here it is, we've been warning you for this for years, okay, but they don't take heed to it. But the moment the news comes out and says that, all right, they want to take heed to it, and even then they're not going to take heed to it because they're so caught up with the bread and circuses. You know, our people are just constant, you know, revolters. At the end of the day, they revolt against the word of the Lord. You know, they're accustomed to rebellion, all right, which is as witchcraft and sin. Okay, so again, it says famine, death, and destruction was coming as one of the plagues of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Why? Because wickedness has exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and the hurtful works are fulfilled. Right. So now let's jump down to 12. It says, Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that Yahweh shall bring upon it. And this is one of the plagues that's being mentioned. They that till the ground shall mourn. You see, that's what you were seeing. You were seeing the farmers complaining on how 90% of their crops have been basically lost, because right now what you see, and I don't know, it depends where you're at in the country, all right, but where I'm at in Jersey, shit goes up and down. It was last week, it was like 90s, it was high 90s, and then it dropped all of a sudden for like the next 2-3 days down to like 50 degrees. So that's not good for the crops. See, we need that steady flow of, you know, weather for our crops to continue to flourish, you see. But it's going up and down like a seesaw right now. And as a matter of fact, right now it's this last 2 days it's been raining, right? And it's been cold as hell. It's been at like 50 again, 60 the top, you know. But now the rest of the week coming in is about to go up to 70s and the 80s and a couple days back to the 90s. And supposedly by the end of next week is going to drop down again. So that just goes to show you that weather modification is being done out here through your elites, all right, with the HARP stations. You know, they're able to control weather, man, manipulate weather, all right? And it also just shows you the times that we're in, because we're in the times where you can't even tell the seasons anymore, man. We don't even have 4 seasons like we used to. That's how you know the earth is mourning. Everything is out of place, out of course. You see, back then you actually got 4 seasons, 3 months of every season. All right. And now you're just like, you go straight into like summer, straight into winter. You know, we just had the pollinated season come late as hell. It just dropped not too long ago, maybe about 3 weeks ago. All right. So pollen's all over the place now. But this coldness is what messes it all up. So things are not pollinating the way they're supposed to. All right. Not only that, the way the air is being destroyed with chemtrails and things like that. You don't even see bees no more, man. When you don't see bees, that's crazy right there. Because bees is the #1 things you need,
All right, the number one insect you need to pollinate all your flowers, your plants, all of that, man. Your agriculture, basically. So when you don't see the bees, man, that's a problem. All right, and that's because, you know, these devils is destroying the earth. All right, they're messing up the air that we breathe. All right, through their, you know, their aluminum and barium that they're spraying in the air. You see? So let's read that again. It says, "They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seeds shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with a fearful constellation." You see? So going through the blasting and the hail is basically going into these different types of weathers that we continually keep having, okay, that are not steady. We should already be, we're about to come into June, and June should already start to become hot. All right. So, you know, we're up and down. You know, they say April showers bring May flowers. They ain't been no flowers in the whole month of May. Trees just started growing. Usually April is the one month where it's constant rain, you know, all over the place, but we ain't had no rain during April. You see? So again, everything is out of course, showing you that this earth is not flourishing like it used to be. All right. So they that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting and hell, and with a fearful constellation. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Yeah. So woe to the world, because the famine is about to hit you quicker than you think. It's going to hit you suddenly. All right. Without you realizing, as the scriptures tell you, suddenly the sown places shall be unsown, you know, meaning these storehouses that were once full, you know, that had everything you need, are not going to be able to have those products anymore for you. You know, she just said in that video that the farmers are going crazy because they're losing 90% of their crops through what's going on because of the weather change back and forth. So by the time they actually start to grow their crops, they're going to miss the actual season of growing their crops, because they have to, when it comes to agriculture, everything is about timing. It's about timing. You have to plant it at the right time, the right season, you know, and you have to make sure that the weather's properly nourishing the ground for it to grow in its proper, you know, and its purity, you see. But it's not working out in the farmer's favor. And they knew that because they go by I think it's a Farmer's Almanac, some shit like that. All right. And they were basically saying that a couple months ago, that it was going to be a crazy ass year for farming, that things were not going to flourish the way they normally do. You see? And right now, best believe they'll be able to get their shit, but our people not going to be able to get theirs. You see? They said that with the 90% being destroyed, they said they rack up, I think it was 10 million was the number they said. $10 million a year they rack up just by wholesale alone with their crops. and what are you gonna rack up if it ain't coming through? That's why they basically said that they're waiting for the government to fund them all of that money. And the government ain't even in the greatest condition to be funding anybody, because they worried about war. They're worried about, you know, paying out to build to bring in this NWO. You see? So good luck with that. They're gonna end up suffering also. And it's really Yahweh Bashim Yahushua making the whole world suffer because of the plagues that's being brought upon this place, man. Okay. So what's gonna happen is people are gonna start to panic. All right. Let me grab this. This is, oh shit. This is 2nd Ezra 16. And let's grab it from 17, since I'm right here. It says, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death. Yeah, and with war comes famine. All right, and we're in the midst. We're not even in the midst. We are in World War III. All right, it just hasn't been made, you know, mandatory for our people to go out there and actually fight yet. Right now, what you see is America just waging war all over the place. All right, but eventually it's just going to be a complete World War III, where America's going to need most of its Americans to go out there and fight, you know. And with war comes famine. So famine is being brewed up, all right? And with famine comes what? Great death, right? It says the beginning of wars and the power shall stand in fear, and the beginning of evils, what shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment, but for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be mindful of the scourges, right? So these things are happening all over the earth, and these people still not paying no mind to it, not taking heed to the signs, to the warnings. They continually live, you know, day to day like everything is all good, like there ain't a famine coming around the corner, right? It says victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. Yeah, and at one point victuals was good cheap upon the earth. You know, you were able to get, you know, food at a decent price. Okay, victuals can also be necessities that you need for your everyday lifestyle. You know, you were able to get gas at fucking, you know, $2.50, you know, $2.70 tops. All right, but look at gas now. Gas is at $5. Diesel's at like $7. Plus is like $5.50. You got premiums close enough to $6. All right. So they were good, cheap upon earth at one point, and people thought that society was going to go back to normal. All right. But meanwhile, it says what? It says, meanwhile, it says, even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. All right. So that's already telling you that famine is coming. And one thing is that the Lord always sent famine upon our people when it was time to destroy our people for not listening, for not taking heed of the word, man. Okay. The prophets of old always spoke about those things, man. They spoke about wars, evils, and pestilences, okay, that was going to come upon the earth. All right. These elites are orchestrating famine. That's an evil thing. And really it's coming from Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, but still he allowing them to orchestrate it, because that's why you have this war going on out there and with Iran. See, here it is. Iran has control of the Strait of Hormuz, and you got 60% of urea's fertilizer that's not even coming to America, right? Then on top of that, you have the farming system here in America that's not even able to grow past 90% of their crops, man. So with those two in cahoots with each other, right? The control of the Strait of Hormuz, and then everything here being destroyed because of the weather manipulation, there you go. It can only mean one result. And that's what? Famine. Okay. And that's one of the curses that's upon our people, man, that are going to destroy us. Remember, these curses from Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, are made to pursue us until we be destroyed, as the scriptures say, right? Let's grab this real quick. Deuteronomy 28, and let's take it from 15. It says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day. All right, because you got people saying, you know, that was for the ancient times. No, the Lord said, do we then make void the law? He said, nay, we established the law. All right, we established the law. Got no water. We established the law. So the law, statutes, and commandments were made for us to follow those forever, pass them down to our generations, because those were made for us to have as a tutor, a schoolmaster, to keep us in check. All right, even though we're not saved by the law no more, we're saved by grace and faith. All right, it's made for you to follow by, so you can live a righteous lifestyle. You see, anything out of those commandments, statutes, and judgments, right, is basically a wicked lifestyle. So the Lord told us that if we didn't follow those things, right, it said that all these curses shall come upon thee, overtake thee, you see, and overtake thee. All right. And one of them, let's grab 17. It says, cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. All right. So let's grab the 17 in NLT. It says your fruit baskets and your breadboards will be cursed. You see, you got people that our people, they got these little mom and pop shops, man. They're not able to get, you know, the things that they need to keep their little mom and pop shop going. All right, that's a curse. All right. It says your children and your crops will be cursed. The offspring of your herds and flocks will be cursed. Yeah, because what happens is if there's no crops, how the hell are you going to be able to feed your actual flocks of your animals, man? How are you going to be able to feed your cows and your sheep, your goats? Now you're not going to be able to feed them. Yeah, do they have little things to feed them? You know, animal feed and things like that. Yeah. But really, when you want them to grow naturally and grow strong and to be healthy for when you go to eat them, they're really supposed to be eating, you know, the things of the earth that are natural. So if they don't have those things, all right, what good is that animal going to be onto you, man? And we actually have our actual flocks, herds and things like that that are also dying off, man. You hear about it all the time. You know, a particular farm might have had 200, you know, cows or something. And all of a sudden they just, you know, pop up dead. Those are all curses that the Lord is putting upon our people. Okay. On top of, like I said, the air being destroyed, you know, the weather being destroyed, all those things go in hand, right? So it says, what else you have here? Go down a little bit. It says, give me 1 second. 24, it says, the Lord will change the rain that falls into your land into powder, and dust will pour down from the sky until you are destroyed. Yeah. So you won't get rain for a couple days, man. Sometimes the Lord will bring a certain drought, all right, where, you know, you trying to get rain, you trying to water down your plants, and you can't. The Lord just made it, what it says, going to be turned, the rain going to be turned into to powder. You know, it's going to be dust more than anything. And that's not good for your plants. Your plants need to be well watered to continue to grow. Okay. So you getting, you know, you getting dry ass weather, you know, sandstorms and shit hitting your damn crops, you know, locusts and insects come and destroy your crops. Matter of fact, that's one of the curses down a little bit. It tells you that in where's that at? 1 second. Where's that at? 38, it says you will plant much but harvest little. Yeah, and that goes exactly with, you know, matter of fact, Jeremiah. Let's grab that real quick. Jeremiah 51 and where's that? This is Jeremiah 51 and it says cut off the sower from Babylon. All right, which is basically going into, you know, the ones that grow your crops. Okay. I think it's around 30. I think I'm passing right by, or it might be the 50th chapter. That's what it is. I think it's the 50th chapter. Once there you go, 16. This is Jeremiah 50 and 16. Cut off the sower from Babylon, and him that handleth the sickle in the time of harvest. For fear of the oppressing sword, they shall turn everyone to his people, and they shall flee everyone to his own land. NLT, take from Babylon all those who plant crops. Send all the harvesters away because of the sword of the enemy. Everyone will run away and rush back to their own lands. And see, not only is the sower being cut off from Babylon, all right, they're also being turned down, all right, by your government. See, you got Bill Gates that's basically doing what? He buying off all these farms, man, giving millions of dollars to take over your farming system so he can bring in his GMOs, so he can bring in his 3D printed meat, you know, so he can feed you DNA, You know, this lab grown meat, this bioengineered food source that we're eating out of. Okay, so not only is is the sower being cut off, all right, through actual, you know, the weather, all right, and all that, but they're also being cut off because, like I said, Bill Gates is buying off all these farms. Yeah, he definitely ain't like that. Esau ain't like that. I had to switch my phone. He didn't like that one. All right. So going back into it, now I gotta use my other phones. All right. All right. Me off. All right. So basically, like I said, you know, he'll offer you $10 million to take your acres of land, to take your farm. Okay. And he doing that because that's just playing chess on the board, man. Eventually that will put America into checkmate, you see? Because if they could take away everything that we have that we need the most, that is a necessity to our lives, where they have control of it. All right. And it's really to just, when the time of the MOTB, all right, that's how they're gonna make you bow down to their system. One of the tactics, all right, you're gonna go to your oppressor for the want of all things, and nakedness and hunger and in thirst. Why? Because you ain't gonna be able to turn to your local farming system. You're not gonna be able to turn to you know, a farm that you know from a couple of towns over. They're all gonna be taken and gone, confiscated. You see? So basically, they taking it to have total control of everything. Remember that one of the blessings of Esau is to have the fatness of the earth, man. So he has his hands on everything that we need the most: resources, necessities. Okay. So it's just going to put you in a bad predicament, right? So let's read that again. Jeremiah 30, Salakia. Jeremiah 50. That shit crazy as hell. This shit kicked me off too. Completely on my phone, because now the phone came back on here now. All right. So it says 50 and 16. I'm gonna read that again. Jeremiah. It says, cut off the sower from Babylon, and him that handleth the sickle in the time of harvest. All right. Hold on, let me see. Gotta back up and go back into it. There you go. NLT read, take from Babylon all those who plant crops, send all the harvesters away because of the sword of the enemy, you see? So how they sending all the harvesters away by the sword of the enemies, by them having power to take over your land, all right? Whether it be through, you know, bullshit, falsified documents, you know, telling you we're here to confiscate your land and you could do nothing about it, or they'll just take it by force. Right? As a matter of fact, it tells you that in Micah 2:1. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields. You see? and take them by violence and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. So verse 2 in NLT says, when you want a piece of land, you find a way to seize it. You see? So they'll find a way to take your land away from you, man. Okay? Especially if you're a so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American, just like how they have done to the Native American Indians, man. The tribe of Gad, Reuben, okay? They just came and conquered their land and took it. They'll go down to South America and basically these people don't speak no English. They start knocking trees down from the rainforest, you know, come and serve you a paper, right? And just tell you we're here to take over your land. You know what's a crazy movie to watch? It's not a crazy movie. It's a old school movie. It's not even something great. It's just one of these movies I grew up on. It's called The Forbidden Dance. All right. It's got the little song on there, Lambada. All right. They do the Lambada dance, but it's a heavy thing because in the beginning of the actual movie, that's exactly what you see happening in that movie. You see that there was a tribe of Indians in the forest of Brazil. Okay. And the so-called white man wanted their land. And what they did is they came with guns. They came with power. All right. And they just started knocking down trees. And all the Indians was looking around like, what the fuck going on? And then they came and served them a paper, not knowing that they don't speak no English. But they were just saying what they had to say in English, basically telling them, we're here to confiscate your land by the order of this paper, blah, blah, blah. And they're looking around like, me no speaking English. All right. But they knew exactly what they were trying to do. You see, they show you that in the movie Avatar 2. Not Avatar 2, but Avatar, the movie. You know, they came and just took all the land. Basically, that was a movie of representation of Gad. What happened to Gad? So-called white man came and took their land and started taking everything that they seen that was natural resources and usable for them. Right? So they show you these things in the movies, because that's what they really do in real life. So it says, when you want a piece of land, you find a way to seize it. When you want someone's house, you take it by fraud and violence and cheat a man of his property, stealing his family's inheritance. You know, my wifey actually, her grandmother, she was in the times of slavery, like straight up times of segregation and all that, heavy into that time. And she was telling me, you know, that her grandmother used to live in Georgia and owned acres and acres of land. And they came and actually confiscated all her land because she didn't know how to read. She didn't know how to write. You know, she didn't know the laws. Eventually, when she came down here, out here in Jersey, she learned how to read and write and things like that. But they actually took and confiscated all her land out there in Georgia, left her with nothing, kicked her out of her own land. And she had acres, she said. So that's what this devil does, man. That's his natural nature at the end of the day, man. All right. And he's continually doing that over and over and over again. He confiscates your lands, and then he has the nerve to call it by his name. He calls the lands after his name. Right? America came from Amerigo Vespucci. All right. Africa came from Leonardo Africanus. You see, these are niggas that done took over the land and then named it after themselves, man. Still doing the same thing to this day. All right. That's why it tells you in Obadiah, let me grab that real quick. Obadiah 1 and 5, it says, if thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? You see? How are the things of Esau searched out, and how are his hidden things sought up? All right, let's read that in the NLT. It says, if thieves came at night and robbed you, what a disaster awaits you. They will not take everything. They will not take everything. Those who harvest grapes always leave a few for the poor, but your enemies will wipe you out completely. You see? Part of their natural nature. And that whole chapter of Obadiah is about concerning Esau, because it tells you in the beginning, the vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, concerning Edom. And we know Esau, all right, he comes from the nation of Edom. That's his heritage. That's his lineage right there. All right. So let's go back to Deuteronomy 28 and what did I want? This is oh no, this is the Salakia. This is matter of fact, look, this is one of the blessings. It says the Lord will give you prosperity in the land if you do the will of the Lord. The Lord will give you prosperity in the land he swore to your ancestors to give you, blessing you with many children, numerous livestock, and abundant crops. You don't see none of that happening. None of those blessings are upon our people, man. We're losing crops. We're losing livestock. Matter of fact, our people don't have any livestock anymore, man. Esau done took all that shit. What's so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American do you see that got a bunch of farms and livestock in their backyard? I mean, there'd be a couple, but very rare. That shit like seeing a unicorn. All right. We are blessed with many children. All right, but a lot of our children come from unlawful beds. A lot of our children are just, created out of sin, so they become the multitude that's going to perish in vain, you see? But you said, I think that's the scripture you're thinking of. No, I wasn't looking for that scripture, but I'll read that anyway. This is Matthew 4:4. But he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of Yahweh. Yeah, so we're not going to have to worry about none of that when the time of famine comes anyway. All right? Because the Lord said, he that believeth on me shall never thirst, man. He that believeth on me shall never hunger. So we ain't got to worry about that. All right? But these people out here, these 2/3, they're going to be part of this troubled agriculture, man. They're going to be part of the state of emergency, all right, that's going to intensify. They're already giving out the warning that this is going to be a state of emergency. But it'll go right past people's heads, right? Because, again, they're worried about, they're worried about the Knicks playing right now. New York is getting wild out there right now, but they're worried about what's going on with their team in sports. Okay, as a matter of fact, I just seen a video where tanks are being loaded up in New York. Lord willing, I'll do a video on it. All right, but tanks are being loaded up in New York. Now, it might be for Memorial Day, or it might just be for when when the Knicks win the Eastern Conference. These people gonna go wild as hell out on the streets. All right, or if you really just look at the deeper picture, all right, they're setting it up because something big is coming for the 250-year mark. All right, of this empire ruling. All right. So continuing on, right, it says what I really wanted to get to was what was it? Salakia, give me 1 second. It's one of the curses. I'm trying to find it. 30. It says you will be engaged. The point is in the second part of this verse, but I'm gonna read the whole verse. It says you will be engaged to a woman, but another man will sleep with her. All right. It says you will build a house, but someone else will live in it. This is the part I want. You will plant a vineyard, but you will never enjoy its fruit. Yeah. So some of us might have a little house where we actually plant things in the backyard. Okay. But we can't even enjoy that, man, because why? Look at what's going on around the world, man, with this weather, with the air, all right? It's even going to destroy the little bit of our crops in the back, okay? Now, if you have the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai upon you and you pray to the Lord, hey, man, the Lord might hook you up. Because I remember when I first came into, I ain't never do no type of planting seeds, none of that, no gardens or none of that. But when I had my house, when I first came into this truth, I was living by myself and I planted six gardens in my backyard. And it was crazy. Never in my life did I ever do that, but the Lord made every single one of them to flourish. That whole year I had all types of shit coming in. Peppers, onions, broccoli, like I had watermelon coming in, sunflower seeds, man, I had all types of shit that I ain't never used, period, that I never had, period. Okay? So the Lord will bless you with these things, man, when you do the righteous thing. The Lord will make your backyard will be the only one flourishing, and everybody else shit is dying off and being destroyed. So the Lord will hook you up when you do the will. All right? But we're also living in dangerous times, so, you know, things is not going to flourish the way they're supposed to. All right? And that's cool. Why? Because we have faith in Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. All right? This is 33. It says, a foreign nation you have never heard about will eat the crops you work so hard to grow. You will suffer under constant oppression and harsh treatment. Yeah, that goes back to that movie, what I was saying in the movie, The Forbidden Dance. Okay? You could be living in South America, and because you're of our tribes, they'll come and take over your land, right? That's a foreign nation that's coming, all right, to eat your crops. All right? The time is going to come when, as it tells you in, let me grab that real quick, 2nd Ezra 15 and 2nd Ezra 15 and 18, all right? It says, because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, and the horses shall be destroyed, and the men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Yeah, so your goods are going to be spoiled. You can have something nice in the backyard, man, but in the time of Jacob's trouble, people going to find that shit, man, because people going to be in a frenzy to eat. People going to be in a frenzy to looking for, you know, food to get them by. So you're not going to be able to enjoy that. You see? It says down a little bit, hold on. Was it there? It was a 16. Yeah, no, that was the one I wanted, right? So let's go back to Deuteronomy 28 and 33, right? It says, a foreign nation you have never heard about will eat the crops you work so hard to grow. You will suffer under constant oppression and harsh treatment. Okay? You will go mad because of all the tragedy you see around you. All right? Let's go down some more, which I think that's the one I was on, right? 38, it says, you will plant much but harvest little. You know, you'll plant something in the backyard, but it's not flourishing to the best of its ability. You're not getting as much as you should. You know, you get half of the crops, you know, or they grow halfway. You know, you're supposed to get a whole big head of broccoli, and that shit come out to you know, a little ass head of broccoli, man. It looked like one of the pieces that you broke off of the head of broccoli, you know. And I've seen that also, because that happened like 3 years after my first year at my house. My shit was flourishing. The third year, I was trying to grow things, and they weren't growing to its potential. It wasn't like that first year. I was getting half-headed broccolis, man. You see? I was still thankful for whatever came in, okay? But still, it wasn't always flourishing for me every year. So the same thing here. It says you will plant much and harvest little, for locusts will eat your crops. And you be seeing that over here. You got these little, what are they called? They're not locusts. There's a particular bug. It looks like, let me see if it comes up. Insect that's destroying crops around New Jersey. Yeah, that's what it is. The spotted lanternfly. They look like this. I see these shits all the time. Right here. Oh, shit. They look like this. Let me see. I can see it better like that. They look just like that. And when they're small, they're actually, they look like this when they're real small. Yeah, it looks like this. See how this one's black? It'll look like that And I see them all the time because I do, you know, yard work for people. And I'll see them all over their crops. I'll see them all over the plants that are growing, right? You'll see them like, they'll be like literally on one strand, on one stem. There'll be like 25 of those things, man. And what they're really doing is destroying your crops. Then you have the actual locusts that destroy your crops also. So the Lord will use insect, all right, to basically destroy the things that you need the most. Okay. And then with this devil spraying shit, making all these insect go into a frenzy, these insect acting crazier than they've ever acted. They don't even do what they're supposed to do anymore, because every insect has a particular job, all right, here in life to do something that actually, believe it or not, whether they're bad or good, they actually have when you put it all together, all right, it's a certain system how the Lord created everything to work in our favor. Okay. But things ain't working in our favor no more, man. So those spotted lanternflies, man, they'd be destroying your crops along with locusts. Right? It says you will plant vineyards and care for them, but you will not drink the wine or eat the grapes, for worms will destroy the vines. Okay, not only do you have these locusts and spotted lanternflies, you got worms that will destroy your crops. Okay. It says you will grow olive trees throughout your land, but you will never use the olive oil, for the fruit will drop before it ripens. Swarms of insects, 42, will destroy your trees and your crops. Okay. You get them cicada bugs that come up out of nowhere. Every certain amount of years, they come up and they destroy all your crops that you have in your backyard. And when them cicada bugs come up, that shit is like, they come up by the thousands. It ain't just, you know, some regular shit. Okay. You see, like the plagues of Egypt happening out there in the Middle East, where there's a bunch of locust flies everywhere, you know. Thousands upon thousands, people driving and they're on the streets and they just swarms of them. You see, all that's made to destroy and eat crops. That also brings famines, you see, to this place. Right? I think those are the ones for crops and stuff like that. This is 50. It says a fierce and heartless nation that shows no respect for the old nor pity for the young. Its armies will destroy your livestock and your crops, and you will be destroyed. Okay. And going back to the government, they have the power to do these things, man. They have the powers to destroy your livestock, your crops. Okay. And if they do that, it destroys us. Because why? It says they will leave you no grain, no new wine, no olive oil, calves and lambs, and you will starve to death. Yeah. So, hey, famine again is coming back. That's gonna be a normal thing pretty soon. Just straight famine. You're gonna see people with ribs touching ribs, man. Okay. Ribs get touchy when that famine comes. That's what's gonna make people go nuts. And then once there's no water supply, I just did a video on the water supply. You know, once people don't have no water, they're gonna go even crazier. They're going to go into hallucination mode, and that's going to lead to what? It's going to lead to cannibalism. Cannibalism will become a way of life again, okay? Which cannibalism still exists to this day, all right? As it tells you in Baruch 2 and 3, all right? Let's grab that real quick. All right, I'll grab 2 precepts, and I'll close out on that. This is Baruch 2 and 3, and it reads... 2, to bring upon us great plagues such as never happened under the whole heaven, as it came to pass in Jerusalem according to the things that were written in the law of Moses, that a man shall eat the flesh of his own son and the flesh of his own daughter. You see, that's one of the plagues that's going to come upon our people. Why? Lamentations 4 and 9. They that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger, for these pine away stricken through for the want of fruits of the field. The hands of the pitiful women have soldered, which means to boil, their own children. They were their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people. The Lord has accomplished his fury. he has poured out his fierce anger. So when these things happen, it's because the Lord is unraveling and unleashing his wrath upon our people, man, and has kindled the fire in Zion and has devoured the foundations thereof. You see? So when these things happen, all right, you know the Lord is pissed. See, the Lord is slow to anger, slow to wrath, long suffering. That's why it hasn't fully came yet, because the Lord just keeps giving you warning after warning, showing compassion upon his people through the mouth of the prophets. But the Lord gonna get tired at one point of saying the same thing over and over. Okay? I know we tired of saying the same thing over and over. Not tired as in we don't love saying it to you, because we love this truth and we love bringing the word out. But it gets tiring that you niggas ain't listening. You know? So when you don't listen, there's only one thing to get your attention. Actually make happen what we've been speaking of. And that's about to happen, man. Okay? And these are the last minute warnings that the Lord continually keeps giving us. You see? So let's grab this. This is Matthew 5 and I mean 6, Salakia. This is Matthew 6 and where is that at? 25. It says, therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what you shall eat or what you shall drink, nor yet for your body, what ye shall put on. Is not the life more than meat, and the body than raiment? Behold, the fowls of the air, for they sow not, neither do they reap, nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feedeth them. Are ye not much better than they? You see? So we ain't got nothing to worry about, because the Lord is he's gonna feed us, man. He gonna make sure that we get what we need when we need it the most, right? This is let's grab this. This is 6 and Luke 6 and 25. It says, hold on. Is it that one? Yeah, I'll take that one. This is woe unto you that are full, for ye shall hunger. Woe unto you that laugh now, for ye shall mourn and weep. You see? So you fool now, right? What was that one? I forgot what album that is. You got fat while we was out here starving, huh? Well, that's how it is. These people was getting fat out here while we was out here starving. Okay? Lord was putting us through certain situations, you know, testing our faith, you know, prepping us for the times to come. So, hey, there's been times where we might have to starve a couple of days, you know, because the Lord, you know, put us in a certain predicament. We might not have money that week coming in because we had to pay bills and something more important. So you might have to, you know, not eat as good for the week. Okay. But while these wicked ass niggas out here eating all day long, 5 times a day, right? Well, the time is going to come, all right, where you're going to, those that are full now, they're going to hunger later. The Lord going to make sure that he puts you through a famine and that you hunger. Okay. Let's grab this. This is, what's that? I think it's Isaiah 65 and Isaiah 65, and let's take it from 13. It says, therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. You see, and look, in a time of famine, we're going to rejoice, right? It tells you that in Job. Let's grab that. This is Job 5 and Job 5 and 20. and it reads, it's 19. It says, he shall deliver you in 6 troubles. Yea, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee. In famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword. Thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue, neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it cometh. Yeah, see, so we shall be hid from the scourge of the tongue. What's the scourges? Remember, we read that in 2nd Ezra 16, right? And 20, it says, but all the 19, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. See, that's the scourges. Famine, plague, tribulation, anguish, death. You see, all the evils, that's the scourges. So going back, it says, he shall deliver thee in 6 troubles. Yeah, and in 7 there shall no evil touch thee. All right, and that represents completion. 7 represents completion. It says, in famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword. Thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue. Neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it cometh. At destruction and famine thou shalt laugh. Neither shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth. Yeah, because we're going to be in league with them, you know? So we're not even going to have to worry about animals in those times. These people are going to have to worry because, hey, the Lord uses spirits that are created for vengeance, right? That lay on sore strokes and appease the wrath of him that made them. And then the scriptures say after that, it says, teeth of wild beasts, scorpions, serpents are used for vengeance. You put to death for vengeance. See, we're not going to have to worry about that because we're going to be in league with the animals. We're going to be like in the times of Noah. How was Noah able to get all those animals onto the ark? He was able to get them onto the ark because he was in league with those animals. We had dominion over the animals in the ancient times. We're going to have that dominion again in these last days, only the elect. So the elect ain't going to have to worry about no damn animal coming to take us, man. We're going to be in league. If anything, we might just tell that damn animal, go eat that nigga over there. And that shit go over there and eat him. You see? That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of believing. We know that the Lord is in control of all things, even down to the animals, even down to the storms that we have to, you know, see in front of us. Okay? So, at destruction and famine thou shalt laugh, neither shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth, for they shall be in league with the stones of the field, and the beasts of the field shall be at peace with thee. You see? So ain't gonna be no worries there, man. Right? So let's end. Hold on. This is, now that's pretty much the point. Yeah, because that's all the rest of the curses right there. The rest of them go into sickness, pestilence, yeah. Yeah, that's all of them. All right. So let's leave it with this. All right, this is Proverbs 18:10. And it reads, the name of the Lord Yahweh is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. You see? So having the names of the Heavenly Father is the most important thing because we're going to be safe from all these things, man. And as a matter of fact, what just popped up in my mind was this is why you have to know the dietary laws of Leviticus, the 11th chapter, right? Because when the time of famine comes, you might be put in a position where you have to hunt for your own food. You might have to look for food, you know? We're going to hope that the Lord, you know, bless us. But hey, this is why you got to know life survival skills, man. You got to know how to be outside in the wilderness. All right. I mean, it's easier said than done. Some of us live in and city life, you know, New York, New Jersey. That shit is city life out here, man. All right. But this ain't Idaho where you in the mountains and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But certain people have the advantage to know how to camp and live out in the woods and live off the grid. So they know how to do those things. But a lot of us mostly are living in city life. So we can't do that in the city. You ain't gonna be hunting no damn bear in the city. And I'm not saying we're gonna eat some bear. I'm just saying you're not gonna hunt, you know, deers in the city. Okay, you ain't gonna see in the midst of New York a bunch of deers running around. Okay, so it's good to read into these certain books to learn how to have life survival skills. All right, because you might be put in a predicament where you might have to go to a creek and go fish your own shit out. You might have to create something to somehow lure some fish and pull them out the water. You might be put in a predicament where the only thing your ass can do is dig up some dirt from the ground and try to get some locusts out of there, man. You see? Grasshoppers. The Lord allowed us to eat those foods and be part of the dietary laws because they're lawful to eat. So we might have to be put in that position. You see? Better learn how to catch some damn locusts and some grasshoppers. Okay? And I believe a grasshopper, let me make sure. I believe a grasshopper is one that you can eat. This is Leviticus 11, and I know it's locusts. Well, I think one is beetles. I'll tell you right now. Yeah, it says 20. You must not eat winged insects that walk along the ground. They are detestable to you. You may, however, eat winged insects that walk along the ground and have jointed legs so they can jump. The insects you are permitted to eat include all kinds of locusts, bald locusts, crickets, and grasshoppers. You see? And one of them over here says in the because I read that from the NLT in the KJV, it says, even these of them you may eat: the locust after his kind, the bald locust after his kind, the beetle after his kind, and the grasshopper after his kind. You see? So you might have to be put in a situation where your ass is looking like Pumbaa on The Lion King, all right? And your ass is eating a whole bunch of, you know, beetles, locusts, grasshoppers, crickets. Okay, it is what it is. If it's lawful and it's meant to keep you alive, best believe it got some taste to it. It's gonna taste good. The Lord gonna make sure that He make it taste good for you. You know, so it's good to have these survival skills, man, for reasons like that. Okay, let's see what we got here. Said 50 Cent. Not like me. Oh, that's the song I was thinking of. Oh yeah. And there's another one that's older. I think it's in the Memphis Bleak album. That's what I'm thinking of. Old school Memphis Bleak album. But and I think it's also in it's also in Jay-Z's one of his first albums. I think it was in the Reasonable Doubt album. When he says, "I'm reloaded." But before he says that, he's the guy's saying that. Because I think that comes from one of those mafia movies. I think it comes from it might be from The Godfather. But yeah, man. You gotta, hey man, we'll be all right at the end of the day when it comes to us being put in these predicaments, all right, of famine and thirst. Okay. Remember, having His word is what's gonna keep you full in a time of hunger and keep you, you know, replenished in the time of thirst. You know, so we'll be all good. Memphis Bleak one. Yeah, it's called the album is one of his first I think it's The Coming of Age, that one. It's in one of his skits. But yeah, that's pretty much the point. Just wanted to land back on that article. So they're talking about, you know, a state of emergency coming here to New Jersey, and I'm from New Jersey, so that's pretty much why I brought it out. And I'm sure it's coming, like it was saying in the video, it's going to come to more states. It ain't just the state of New Jersey. It's going to come to the rest of these states also. All right. So that's the warnings of the Lord, you know, telling you, hey, man, get right. Get right, or you're going to be left out here, man. to die in these scourges. All right. So I'm gonna leave it there through the Spirit. Lord willing, you will edify. So with that being said, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kol Haloyim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered abroad. The Akim and the Akwat that was listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing, that the lesson was edifying. To the next one, Shalom. Keep fighting the good fight of faith. Enduring as good soldiers of Yahweh Shai. You just continue to learn in silence, watching the true men of the Lord. And hey, stay prayed up as always. Okay. Make no provision for the flesh and continually pray that we be delivered with a speedy riddance, that this place be destroyed. All right. ASAP, as soon as possible, which, you know, it's right around the corner. A Bible ball soon. Shalom.